Well, good morning, and thank you very much for joining us this morning. I am Yori Folari, and my guest today is Mr. Adedeji Olomola, former chair, Oriade Local Government in Osun State. And, well, what we wanted to really discuss is, you know, in foreign climes, they talk about big government being very expensive, and at the end of the day, it's the people that take on the expense. And so there's been this sort of a objective to reduce the size of government, the federal government, to reduce the size of federal government. So, okay, now today we're going to be looking at addressing the rising recurrent expenditure and wastes. That is your field. How are we going to do that? Because we seem to do things big. Yeah. We do things big. Projects big, entourages big, you know, public officials, big retinue. I'm happy that you are sort of optimistic that it can be done, but can it really be done effectively so that we see a definite reduction in the quote-unquote size of government?
Thank you very much. I believe very much it can be done, because if the incoming government wants to make a change, like the nation itself is almost going bankrupt now, we are owing so much. And if we want to have a change, we have to look at the method and possibly change our administrative style. Like for the federal government now, we're operating on ministerial lines, whereby you have ministry by ministry. When you look at the cost of crisscrossing Nigeria for each ministry, each parastatal, each agency and commission, then already you have a lot of waste. So possibly the new government, the new administration coming in, should now look at, you know, decentralizing the administration of itself, that of the federal government, whereby you now run the federal government on state basis, and you have your budget, the federal government budget will now be on state basis, so that like you have your federal secretariat already in every state, the federal secretariat will now be fully functional. Just like that of the state, you have all your ministry, parastatals, everything there. And you now have somebody representing Mr. President there. It could be called a deputy president, it could be any name, but whoever is there will be given some level of autonomy to really administer federal government status in that state, so that all the projects will emanate from there and finish there.
If we were to be able to pull that off, it would be in the nature of a first in Africa, wouldn't it?
Exactly. And that is why whatever the new incoming president is able to do, if this is not done, then it will be like just walking, fetching water inside the basket, so you can't really retain it. So if you have to, the bills will come drastically down. Effectiveness will multiply, you know, in folds. And then waste will also go down. And then that is when you can start projects and finish it. Each minister cannot go around Nigeria again. The cost of a flight from, say, Sokoto to Abuja, you know what it is. And then you now multiply it by thousands of operatives that are going around on behalf of each entity, any branch of the federal government. Is it ministry, is it commission? All of them. So, but if it's a state, you have an enclave, you can supervise that enclave. And that can go to almost any facet of the FG administration.
Well, exactly. The way you ended it with the federal government's administration.
Yes.
It is administrative costs that you are quarreling with, that these are unnecessarily high, and if we look at it again, it can be brought down.
Yes, because if that is not done, there's even no way that we can get any result again. Like if you look at it, when we started the steel rolling mill, it ended up the way it ended, the refineries, anything you can make.
Anything federal government.
Anything federal government. And that is because there is no central focus. There is nowhere to really monitor. It's just taken as a freelance money. Once you say it's federal government money, you take it as free money. Everybody goes there, takes, nobody monitors it. That is it.
Okay, it's a very interesting concept. It's fresh, it's new to me, I must admit.
Yes.
But one of the reasons the federal government, has not looked at those kind of areas of decentralization, I imagine, is wanting to have control, wanting to have control. And so I'm wondering, what will be different in this instance, well, apart from the person who is coming in, and perhaps he has different ideas. So really, this is in the nature of a presentation to him to look at this possible way. But how do you handle big cost centers like, take the National Assembly, for instance?
Thank you very much. You know that the National Assembly itself is centered on the members. They come there for first of all, for the interests of their states. They want to, that's why they do monitoring, they go to. Now, all these things they are doing, they will have to do part of it in their home state because they can do the monitoring even better in their home state. And they know everything, peculiarities of their home states, and they will, in fact, perform better. And you can even give them extra duties. There's nothing wrong if the public already voted for them as their representative.
Okay.
So there's nothing wrong if your members of the National Assembly are also your federal commissioners in their states. At no extra cost is possible. At takeoff, not permanently.
Okay.
Okay, they can be acting. You know, when you are changing like that, they can be useful. And if they're also doing their jobs, you can do most of the ISEU. You can do it like when there was COVID-19. You did it you did it online. So most of these jobs can also be done online. You can still be doing your assembly, your legislative matters online, and while you are still doing some other good jobs for government.
You know, I introduced you as the former chairman of Oriade local government of Osun State.
Yes, sir.
Clearly, you must have a public finance kind of background, or could you just talk to me a little about where this expertise is coming from?
Yes, thank you very much. On my own, I've been an individual entrepreneur a long time, and I've taken time to study the Nigerian situation vis-a-vis some other countries. I've been privileged to visit some nations outside Nigeria, some 15 of them or more. And that's at my private capacity. So I have seen what is happening elsewhere. Like even in the US, you know, we have United States of America. And for each of the states, they have some level of autonomy. And the same thing, that's what we are saying here. We are not, this time is different. We are not talking regionalism now. We are not talking transferring your powers to the state or local government now. We are saying you yourself, the federal government, change your pattern of administration, operate at, you know, detachable units, which is already the states. You have your secretariats there, they are non-functional. Make them functional, bring all the instrument of office there, and run your government in each state so that you now do your budget per state and not per ministry.
How close is this notion, this whole idea then, to the call that has been made in the past for true fiscal federalism?
Yeah, it can look a little close because once you have now, if you do that, you must have, you know, broken down your method. You have reduced your wastes, and now you now give the money direct to those state entities. Still federal government, though. We are not saying you are not transferring to anybody. It's still the same federal government. So, but you are now operating per state. So if you see how much we are owing, for instance, divide that by some 40. If you give 4%, or if you give 8% to, if you give 8% to the federal government to use, and just give each state to 2%, for instance. So if you give 2% of what we are owing now to each state, if that money has gotten to each state and is used in each state, you know what it will mean when it comes to translation into development.
Can this be done without, because this is the only thing we know. The way it is now is the only way it is. It might have been, so to speak, been refined as we've been coming along since independence. But can much of this be achieved without fresh legislation, which would then have to go to the National Assembly? Because I'm thinking about things like you've spoken on one or two other aspects, but like the army, for instance. I spoke about the National Assembly.
Yeah.
There's the whole defense issues.
Well,
Some things will still have to be kept very close to the chest of the federal government, right?
Yeah, thank you very much. You know, what we are saying is not that the federal government should throw everything they are controlling down to the units. What we are saying is that you are reducing what, in an economy, you have the micro, you have the medium, and you have the macro. So you remove the micro and the medium from the schedule of Mr. President so that they will be able to concentrate on the macro. The macro is to now see to your incomes, see to your meaningful foreign relations,
okay,
see to your forex problems, you know, and now see to where you can really industrialize, etc. Those are the micros. And now, when you don't ask for 80% of the things you go to get from the presidency, if you don't know, any president of Nigeria takes 70% of his time welcoming the big obas, the big emirs, and all the VIPs, you know, coming to discuss nothing about Nigeria, but with them about themselves. So, but once these schedules, when you take it out, the president is still in control, right?
Okay.
But you take the administration of 80% of these things off him, then he'll be able to concentrate and he will achieve more.
So this is something that, if I understand you well enough, this is something that could be initiated and operated upon by the president, the incoming president, and his administration.
Exactly. If he would need some, he would definitely need some touch of legislative something. But then it is not difficult at all, because right now I would doubt if we have anybody in the National Assembly who does not know what I'm talking about. That the present system has failed us. Okay. There is nobody that doesn't know that.
But that is not being admitted publicly.
Yeah, even if the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, 20 years, you do the crossover bridge in Onitsha, and that has taken us almost another 20 years. You do anything, it's 30 years. Now, what would be the cost year 1 and the cost year 20? But if you are operating state by state, when they are running the project, they finish it before they go to another one. So definitely you have better results.
Okay. I'm happy you said that if indeed this is now sort of state, it's still federal, it's still federal government, but like state situated,
yes.
Then, as you say, they would finish one before they go on to the other.
Yes.
As opposed to what we have right now, where necessarily the federal government has to have quite a number of balls in the air at the same time.
Exactly.
But you're saying this phenomenon will be much reduced if this idea is taken on board.
You know, the funny thing really is that you can see the federal government, you just see signboard. They come to your state, they want to do something. And what they are doing there is not even needed at all by that community or that state. So when you run state by state, the peculiarities, the needs will be the priorities. And then you will definitely make better results. Now that we're in their need of industrialization, you do ordinary electricity. Ghana is running its electricity thing fine. And the Dangote new factory, refinery, when they started that project, immediately they went for their independent power station. That's what they did it almost as they were starting. So right now they are producing the light they are using. So a state can do all that thing. And now you will discover that we are not even saying state now. We say federal in the state.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to say is that for now, there is no known project that all previous administrations tried to do, which either the individual or the state or the federal government in the state or the industrialists in the state or a combination of the four, plus the possibility of a PLC, they cannot achieve. So by now, there is nothing. When they were starting in those days, Ahmadu Bello, Obafemi Awolowo, Zik, they were competing heavily. If you first to start a university, somebody does the same. First to start a radio station, television, somebody does the same, etc. So you see that time in the West, for instance, the Odua thing was even having printing press, having hotels, having, you know, all these things now. You can't expect government now to say they want to invest in this hotel because the citizens already are able to do that. So we'll be moving forward like that. And that is the only way that Nigerians would be able to face the reality of the day and fight to make their own domain grow.
Okay. Okay, I wanted to ask you about Forex and GDP and that kind of a thing. But in the meantime, our first caller has landed. Good morning to you, Mr. George.
Good morning, Uncle Yori, and good morning to your guest.
Thank you. Good morning.
Uncle Yori, as a management consultant, I would like to say this in terms of manpower in our civil service.
Okay.
The nature and the standard of unemployment in the country is not advisable to downsize. What we need to do is to ensure productivity. To ensure productivity, look at the leadership so that productivity can arise. Let me give you one classical example.
Okay.
National Orientation Agency. Everybody is complaining about that agency that they are not working and we are not seeing what they are doing. Yet, Uncle Yori, I'm aware that they have not less than 100 staff in each of the 774 local governments in this country. Not less than 100 staff. How many local governments can say that these officials have visited their communities to talk to them about one government policy or the other? Yes, they receive salaries. That's what I mean, that if we want, it is the productivity we should check. People that are being paid should be made to work for the pay. But if you downsize in an economy that unemployment rate is already very high, it will not make sense if you send them back to the unemployment market and our industries are not, sufficient to absorb them. But we can absorb the wages and curb waste. Where money is lost is in areas of wastages. You want to execute a contract that will have cost you 10 million, you end up spending 10 billion on it. Whereas you can use 1 billion to pay salaries of so many people. Yet you waste 8 billion in one small contract. It is those leakages we need to block.
Okay.
Not sending people back into the unemployment market.
Okay.
It's just a suggestion.
All right then. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. George, for calling in. Well, you heard that.
Yeah. Let me quickly respond. Thank you very much. What you have said is possibly out of what I'm discussing because I didn't even mention about downsizing. You are talking about productivity. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
And he also spoke about wastages
yes.
reduction.
All these things you will not be able to achieve if you don't rearrange your administrative style. There's nobody that will stay in Lagos and know what is happening in Maiduguri per second. But somebody who is staying in a state capital, overseeing federal government issues in that particular state, in most cases within 4 hours, you can drive down to see what is happening. So the federal government will become more effective. That is the productivity you are talking about. And that is why...
Because it has local status.
It has local status. That is why we are saying that. We are not saying federal government should give any of its duties to anybody. We are saying that federal government should change from ministerial line to state line. Okay. So that they can operate better. Mm-hmm. All the ministries and everybody will be in the same ministry. Like you have inter-ministry and interparastatal mingles as you are running government. So you see yourselves. And then the state sometimes even wants to do some things in the federal ministry. It will be done within the state. So it's faster, more efficient.
So it's not about sending people back onto the job market.
You are not dropping anybody. We are only saying that let people go and work per state, so that all the departments will be inside the state working.
And this would reduce wastages?
Oh, almost 60%
Okay.
reduction.
Reverend Dominic, good morning to you, sir. Thank you for calling in, and apologies for keeping you a bit waiting.
Yeah, no problem, sir. Good morning, Chief Yori. Good morning to your guest.
Yes, thank you.
I love the intellectuality of your guest. And Yori, I want to address your topic, your current insecurity or security in Nigeria. Yori, I've been sounding like a broken record. That there's no way a nation can move forward.
Our topic is not insecurity now.
It could be part of it, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
Let him go on, please. Go on.
We're talking about the rising recurrent expenditure and wastages. But
yes,
my guest has said that what you brought up might actually even be part of it. So please continue.
It's part of it.
Exactly.
Part of it in the sense that what we spend in can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
What we spend in managing security here is so heavy. We can use it for something else and bring down insecurity. That's
I get you.
What we're saying.
I get you.
But I want to say this. The way our civil servant is structured, it is mission impossible for we to get a good result in Nigeria. Let me give you an example. I went to one of the universities around. I won't mention the university around us. A friend of mine wants me to get him a transcript. So I walk into this university and I walk into this office of one of the offices. There are three people in that office. One girl was sleeping. The other one was pressing phone. They want to answer me to take me to where I'm going to. I asked me a question. Those two people in that office, what are they doing? Is it that my colleagues, they're all clerks in one office? One office has 3 clerks. This one was sleeping. This one was playing phone, and one we need that office. And in many processors in Nigeria, as the former governor, chairman here, in many offices in Nigeria, most of our staff are doing nothing, absolutely nothing. And I don't want to blame some governors. A governor come into office, he has 10 naira in a month, both IGR and what he gets in Abuja, 10 naira. He had to pay 11 naira as civil servant. What is the civil servant doing? We have said it here that government cannot build industry. Government cannot build anything. That government has no business in government. This heavy of staff, what are they working? If our civil servant cannot work, and we have staff, we pay. We use the whole money of the state to pay. What are they doing? If any man will establish Nigeria, we must restructure civil servants. If we don't do it, honestly, it is mission impossible to achieve greatness in this nation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Reverend Dominic.
Can I respond?
Yes, please.
Thank you very much, Reverend Dominic. You are already talking or speaking in line with what I'm saying. If you talk defense, yes, we have problems with our security. Fine. If you operate state-by-state basis, you will be able to have your defense for each state on a 90% independent management, whereby your defense in that state can take care of most of the things that you call security problems. For example, before now, you just say that the army is for external aggression. Who is fighting Nigeria now? It is people that come in to do kidnapping, armed robberies. You talk of religious murderers and all that. Then add that to the schedule of the army. They will do it better. And then if you have, we have had instance when the whole nation orders for arms and ammunition and the money cannot be found. And then if each state can place order, they still have to place the order through the center, yes. But at least they will monitor their money and monitor the return of the equipment they want to use. And what we are saying is that if, for instance, at that state, you can rise to the position of an IG if you are a policeman. Mm-hmm. You can rise to the position of the army chief and so on and so forth.
Whatever state you come
whatever state you come, yes, you can rise to that position. And then you may not just occupy the office. Just like somebody is level 17 in the ministry at the state, it might not be a permanent secretary. So you can rise to the top. So, but the defense unit will now be saddled with the responsibility of the security of that state. And therefore, if you have your IG, you have your chief of staff for a state, you have your chief of naval staff for a state, and all of them are there. I am sure they cannot fail. Okay. They are failing because when they ask the center, the person is the general, army chief, general. When they ask for what they need, it takes them donkey years before they will get it, if at all they will get it. So, but if it is a state, it's proactive.
Okay.
When anything is happening, they can nip it in the bud.
Of course, it goes without saying, all of this would mean...
it's also reduction.
It also would
cost.
need a very deep buy-in by the commander-in-chief.
Of course.
Of course. Mr. Adekunle in Abeokuta has called in. Good morning to you, Mr. Adekunle.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Thank you for calling in. Go ahead.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning to your guest in the studio.
Yes, Mr. Dedeji Olomola.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Concerning the topic you are discussing, the guest has spoken.
Did we lose you, Mr. Adekunle? Are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, please continue. It just dropped out for a while. Continue, please.
Yes. The first caller said something about downsizing in the public service. Honestly, I want to support. Hello? Can
yes,
you hear me?
we can hear you. We can hear you.
Yes. Honestly, I want to support the issue of downsizing so that government can make in some money. You see, if you go to ministries all over, many of the workers there, they are just on the table, they cannot do anything again. Maybe because of age, maybe sickness, or whatever. Go to ministries everywhere. I'm a civil servant and I know what I'm talking about. Many of them are just there, they cannot do anything again. When you tell them to go and do any assignment outside the office, they can't because of their age or their health situation. So, if government should look into this, the people in the civil service that are not eligible, that doesn't have the strength, that doesn't have the wherewithal to do anything again, they should leave. And that is one of the reasons why our young folks that are leaving university are not getting jobs. Because we are leaving people there to be there for 60 years, and some people are still asking for more, to be extended to 60, 70 years in service. Then what becomes our young graduates that are coming at our back? What becomes of them?
Okay.
So we need to look into this and do something. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for calling in.
Thank you very much. You have just spoken about downsizing. Fine. These things will, water will find its level. Once we change to the new system of federal government domiciliating its activities in the states, you can later harmonize. Most of these people you are talking.
Wouldn't that raise the complexity of government?
No.
If there has to be, from what you are recommending, in Osun, it will be like that, in Ogun, in Anambra, and so on. So whereas it used to be one, as inefficient as it might be thought to be, now there are still federal units, but now you have to deal with 36 of them.
Yes. Now there is no difference.
Okay.
There's no difference because you have somebody who is a PS, is on level 15, 16, or 17. You have 200 people on that level in the same ministry who are equally efficient.
Okay, so they would move out of what is known now as the federal secretariat or whatever it is called, and now sort of divide themselves up.
They are already there. You have federal secretariat already in every state. It's only it is not working.
It's almost like a posting.
It's only they are not using it. So if you have your federal secretariat and you have everything there, just like the state has everything there, then the person who is now working as a minister, it will be minister for state, not for ministry. He will be working like a governor. So he is able to have a total control of everything federal under that federal installation. Okay. That is what we are talking.
Okay, let me bring on TEMITOPE calling in from AKOWONJO. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Okuyori.
Thank you for calling in, sir.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Thank you for your enlightenment and setting the agenda for the incoming government.
Thank you.
In addressing the rising recurrent expenditure and wastages, we should concentrate on the productiveness of the civil service. Most of our civil servants, they are not productive. You walk into their offices, it's as if they are doing you a favor. And meanwhile, they are overstaffed. Work that one person should be doing, you have like 4 people doing it. And that will not be productive. Aside that, they are the ones, most of the big guns and top shots, are the ones even teaching political appointees to how to steal. They are the ones aiding and abetting corruption. We saw all these things in the case of the pension ma'am, and all the likes. We should make sure the civil servants are accountable for their actions as well as the political leaders. Then the barrage of escorts, most of the buying diesel, now they want to reduce recurrent expenditure. All these things should be looked into by the incoming administration. God bless Nigeria. Thank you, Uncle Yori.
Thank you very much for calling in. You know, our viewers seem to be calling in on the wastages aspect and also recalling what many people seem to know already, that the civil service, generally speaking, I don't want to typify one, they know that that's a place where, that's not the way it was designed, but that's where you can take it easy a bit. Yeah. You're occupying that place. It doesn't matter whether or not you are doing anything useful or productive, but you will be very, very, vigorous in resisting anyone that says it's time to go.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think that is why we should not, is it putting the cart before the horse? If we want changes, like all the callers have said, I agree with them. But the change must have a new foundation.
Okay.
All these changes they are talking about would not happen if you don't. Now you talk of civil servants that are not working. You do your federal budget, and out of 40 ministries, all the federal projects are done only alongside 3 ministries. There's no job for them to do, and you are now saying they are not working. So if you change and you are in a state, the federal government is working in each state, and now the person who is the head of government, or head of federal government for the state, like the minister, you say minister for state, it is the minister for state that we should now have, not minister for ministry. The minister for state and his deputy is like the governor and the deputy governor. Okay. So there is no reason why they would not make their workforce work. Okay.